All right, so our recording has started, and I need to first announce that we got to talking and running our mouths here beforehand and I forgot to hit the record button in time to really start from the beginning. And we had the pleasure of listening to a version of a song called Pure Imagination by saxophonist Ron Blake. Uh, Again, nobody on the recording will hear it, but I will attest, and I'm sure my friends would attest to it was worth hearing, right?
Yes.
Lovely.
All right. Well, I brought that in because you know getting in a quiet mood, a mood that's not so caught up with the activities of daily living, to me, whatever does that is spiritual. So tonight we played some jazz. I thought it worked very well. But the point is to put us in a good mood. And I think just being in a good mood starts to point us in the right direction. Uh, the course has taught me, A Course in Miracles, that is, has taught me that true spirituality is really believing to the point that you try and literally be in a good mood always. And the world would call that an impossible dream, but I don't know, we're on the side that doesn't think it's so impossible. And I believe we're becoming proof of that as we see our day-to-day lives just start stringing up a consistent period of time of feeling good. Do I have any witnesses to that? Or is it just me?
My life
I'm
is
with
a
you.
happy dream.
Yeah, yeah, like it's kind of like the course says, it's really starting to happen, the happy dream. There were some other comments as well.
But I would add an amendment to that. Even in the happy dream, there is still some work about releasing the blockages to the awareness of love's presence. So that
Yeah,
means that some stuff will come up.
yeah,
Different challenges, issues, conflicts, something that
and
needs
yet
to be forgiven.
even that negative side of it becomes joyous
Yeah.
when you understand that the work is leading you to happiness,
That's right.
true happiness, Jill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else on the subject of non-duality, monism, feeling one way 24/7, and discovering that we can maintain that not through losing compassion, but still by working at a certain level of non-attachment, not being prisoner to what happens in the external world. Am I going too deep too fast? Because I know we're here to read the preface.
Well, that was the message that Barbie gave Ken in the Barbie movie.
Well, I did not see that movie. What was it about?
Oh,
Spiritually speaking,
say it again.
what was it about spiritually speaking?
To me, there was so much of the course in it. Just pretty wild about
I would say it was about the rebalance of the male and the female dominance. It was a healing of patriarchy and
Matri?
the war between the sexes, kind of.
Yeah.
yeah, between a matriarchal world and a patriarchal world.
And how was it resolved?
Balance. Shared.
Yeah. Talking about being able to see things differently, and talking about becoming aware of blinders. I think that one of the things, if you look objectively at history, I'm speaking from a male point of view now, that's what y'all made me think of, is that if you look at history that was taught to us, it's been a male-dominated history, and objectively, things haven't gone so well in the hands of men. We've needed help for a long time. And even if we were willing to accept help, we didn't look for it in a place that was so obvious, as close to us as our other half. And so if I used to teach anatomy and physiology, and here, let me see if I can say it. There's like these 24 pairs of chromosomes. So I guess that's 48. And they're X chromosomes, they're female chromosomes, but once in a while you'll get a Y. So what I've learned is I may be the Y chromosome. The world has taught us to emphasize the one difference. Well, what about all those other chromosome pairs in me that are essentially female? I'm almost as much female as you are physiologically. And yet I live in a world that has tried to get me to depend on the Y and not utilize my X's. Is that crazy or what?
Crazy.
So if I used all of me, the female part of me, how much greater would I be if I used all the aspects? Again, I'm not level 1 heaven here. I'm just saying on a physiological basis, that awareness would have made me and perhaps mankind better creatures here.
Maybe we'd have Marianne Williamson's Department of Peace and less war.
Yeah. And so the help's been there, but I think a lot of it is in our taught arrogance. We've dismissed it out of hand. So I think things are, I won't say breaking down as much as breaking through. And I think we're of that generation that may take the biggest quantum leap in the history of our species. So Boy, how did we get on that? I guess because it's ACIM Talks, we can
Mhm.
say whatever we want, right?
Right.
Any other comments from anyone?
Well, I think it started with that happiness is an inside job. I think that's where I popped in with the movie. And that's a really important point.
What's happiness is an inside job?
It's not from out there. It's not from other people, places, and things.
Yeah, yeah. It's an awareness, but the problem, if we were to had the ability to ask this question around the world, the question is, uh, would you rather? I'm sorry. The question is, would you give love a try? There'd be a whole, I mean, where we are, I think there's a whole lot of people out there that would be willing to give love a try. The problem is there's 8 billion people. So to even try it in a sufficient quantity to move the needle at all, if there are 8, here, take the United States, 330 million. Is that easier, right? How many people would have to give it a serious try to determine if it could make a difference?
Well,
I'm
What
testing
will-
out some stuff for my upcoming workshop.
well, we're learning just one.
Pardon me?
What we're learning here just would take one.
Yeah, but in the secular world, how many?
Well, this should apply, right? This should apply to everything. This should
I
apply
know,
to
but I think it's too deep. Of the 330 million, how many of them are ready to see and consider? That is the problem that we're dealing with. They don't believe it's just one, they believe it's 8 billion.
And each
And
one is
yet,
trying to love in the way that they can. They may love a special person, or they may love their family, or they may love their church congregation. They have special places where love is. They don't know about the calls for love that need love. They put the calls for love in prison.
agape love.
Yeah.
Now, they're not as aware. They're not aware of the power of agape love, and given differences and mistrust, it's very hard to get them to give it a try. It's just that people like us who are giving it a try are finding fantastic results. So how do we share that with those in denial? The Course defines denial as a decision not to know. They still appeal to the glitter of separate heavens. And despite the evidence that it does not work, look at the state of the world, they're still not willing to give it up easily. And yet,
I want to be included in the they.
Pardon me?
I want to be included in the they. I'm no different. I mean, even with this understanding, I'm no different. So
Correct.
yeah, there's not a they that don't understand it. It's a me.
I understand where you're coming from with truth, Dee.
Yeah.
But how do we help brothers and sisters who are not willing to hear the truth?
By being it.
Yeah, by demonstrating
Now,
the truth.
so do you see we're back to how can we demonstrate it on a large enough scale for large enough people to notice? There are all kinds of organizations. There are all kinds of creative people, from movie makers to engineers to software developers to attorneys to philanthropists to billionaires to Warren Buffett's.
Well, just take
Go ahead.
the Barbie movie as an example. Do you know how many people
God, I gotta
have
see
seen-
the movie.
have seen
didn't-
I haven't seen it, but I've heard it, and there's been fantastic results from it.
Yeah.
I mean, just people going to watch the Barbie movie, they're being exposed to those people who have not been exposed to it are being exposed to a new concept. It's called planting the seed. You know, it's the seed is already there. It's just giving that seed more nourishment to grow from within for people. And people, and you know, people you might look at it and go, oh, that's just a poo-poo movie, but it's still in there, mulling around in their subconscious, in their area, in that area that brings out, you know, it's working from within every individual to have them start to blossom. It's like the lotus, you know, it's bringing the light and letting it do the work.
So if I could go back to A Course in Miracles, you know, where the Course states, I mean, we do this nearly every week now. The Course states, this is but one version of the universal curriculum.
Right.
There are many others. Is the Barbie movie one of them?
Sure is.
Sure.
Do you see how it is going on? Just like the Course says, it's going on I never saw it before. And chances are you didn't always see it, right?
Right. That's what makes me a they.
But
That's-
your
that's-
eyes have been opened. Jesus said, let those who have eyes see and ears hear. We saw the Barbie movie and saw the seed planted. But there's so many brothers and sisters that at least this time around missed the seed. They didn't see the moral of the story yet. Remember how you used to listen to music and like to boogie to it and get down and party and all of that? And now you listen to some of that music that you really love, and you thought it was great and you partied. And now you see they were preachers. Fleetwood Mac and Sting and Stevie Wonder. Do you see how we see it differently now? But so many brothers and sisters have not made that connection
Yet.
That's what I say, but they have heard.
That's correct. However, again, the Course says our job as teachers of God is we can't change the outcome, but we can speed it up.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm connecting what we've been saying tonight, speed it up through our demonstration.
Mm-hmm.
But the suggestion, given the task here in level 2, here in the secular world, there's a problem of scale. There's, in the US, there are 330 million people, a large portion of whom still believe in separation. They think it's to their advantage to protect themselves, to not trust one. I'm talking too much. Somebody was saying something.
Well, my question for you is, that's your expectation, is that you want to see it on a larger scale, as opposed to doing what you're doing. You have no idea, once you're on YouTube and once you're out there, you have no idea of how far you are reaching, you know.
Correct.
So the, but what I'm hearing is you're questioning, how can we do it, and how can we do it quickly at a bigger scale? But maybe the scale that we're doing it at is at the right scale.
Uh,
As long as you're out there expressing and doing and teaching as the teacher does, it is going to be spread. I mean, I can go to I can speak in front of a group of 20 people, and then they can go and share it with 20 more people, and those 20 more people can go and share. Yeah, I think it's just keep doing what you're doing, and it will happen.
well,
You know, it's when you're not sitting back and doing nothing. You're still doing. But what can you do on a larger scale? Well, you're now out on YouTube.
correct.
You're now out on a bigger, in a bigger vernacular than just going to your own little unity church and speaking to your own little unity people. You're
Absolutely.
reaching other people,
Correct.
and it's being comfortable enough with myself to go into a group of people and speak my piece, and not have that intimidating voice in my head that says, well, you don't want to say that. Well, yeah, I do want to say that. And those that want to hear it will hear it, and those that don't won't, but at least it's out there.
I totally appreciate what you're saying. And that's precisely one of the reasons that myself and many other course teachers, spiritual teachers, and that have taken to the internet and technologies like that. These are secular technologies, are they not?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
would
and look
like,
how much further you've reached out because of Zoom.
correct.
You're not within your own state anymore.
Yes, but how much further could we reach out if we had our own news network? If we were making top movies and productions, if we were networking with politicians on the behalf of love, this is not new. I mean, the Department of Peace would be an example in a new direction. The Be Nice political party would be quite a vehicle to use. So if I can reach X people on Zoom, if we came together and put up the money and the resources to reach people on the ABC network, CNN network, if we had the right money and the right support from people that would like to give love a serious try, if we work together, we could present our message to a lot more people. And you know from your own experience that we have a winning message.
Well, that really is what Marion Williamson is doing,
Doing.
has been
Correct.
doing.
And Jim White wants to get on board with that too.
Absolutely.
And encourage all the people of goodwill, all the people that are doing wonderful things, to see if they would buy into coming together. Because if the truth is really true, if love is powerful, it should work in the secular world too.
But
If
my
you
job
were
is to
Go
my
ahead.
job is to really accept the atonement completely for myself. And if I'm still seeing people out there who don't have truth, then that's just a projection of my ego. So
Yes,
it's for me to just keep doing the work diligently and not worrying about what appears to be millions of people. That's really just aspects of the one
sure.
sun.
And I can respect that side of things. I hope that you can respect my position that says, if I'm hearing a call for love, I should try and help
And
to
I
the
think
best of my ability.
and I think you're seeing that done because there are, if on Facebook, or it might be just that I get a lot of that stuff, but you're seeing like 10 or 20 people coming together and offering a free workshop.
Right.
And they're like Lisa Natoli, Bill Free, all those other Course in Miracles people coming together as opposed to being in competition with one another. They're
Right.
coming together. They're giving a unified workshop for free. They're doing
Yes.
other like James Twyman. He does peace. He comes together with many countries and does peace work.
Yes.
So it's happening. It's out there. It's just
Yeah, it hasn't reached us up on a point where it affects a qualitative change. And all I'm saying is that is because of the problem of scale.
mhm.
In our level 2 world, there are 8 billion people. So there have been magnificent efforts are already underway through the unity movement, through all the different spiritual things, and that fundamentally, though, we gotta get enough. Like, there's 8 billion is the denominator. So these efforts, you can see they're really growing. And I would just like to be a part of that sort of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing is methodologies. If we could do something like this, we couldn't say, I used to fight for fear, okay, and now I'm gonna fight for love. You can't fight for love. That's our restraint moving forward. But as powerful as love is, it will provide a whole different way of solving things, a whole different level of responses to resolve arguments and disputes. I mean, that's supposed to be the power of love, right? Has it worked for you?
There are a
Was
lot
it
of
miraculous?
there are
Yeah,
many
Jill.
different views of what love is and how to do it and what gets in the way of it. We're all walking each other home, and it already happens, it's already done, but we are experiencing the
time.
echo of the ego over
Correct.
time, which
Yeah.
isn't true.
So what I'm proposing is trying to do it on trying to get more people to work together to promote a serious giving love a try. What is love? Well, we could get into all kinds of arguments and discussions about it. But what I like to say is love is being nice to one another, seriously, not sometimes, but as often as you can, and see if that makes your life better. If it doesn't, you can go back to the old way, right? But if I did that with 10 people, I think several of them would say, damn, it worked. Or I'd be willing to try it next week, and it kind of worked. This is the kind of engagement I'd be looking for. Try it and do it if it works for you better. We say at church that love is better. Well, if it works in the spiritual world, shouldn't it work in the secular world? I'm just saying. So I don't have to do this. I'm an old man. To hell with it. Okay. I came, I saw, I tried, I left. And I tried to do what I could. So I tried to do it with technologies and stuff. You know, Jesus had a good heart, but how many people could he speak to at best in his time here? He said, I will send you a comforter, and that comforter will spread that word in a much bigger way than me. Can you imagine the Holy Spirit using technology? I can. Comments. Boy, did we do a ACIM talk tonight? I don't know. Can I publish this or
Well,
what?
who's to say that the Holy Spirit isn't doing it through technology? I get a lot of information from the just from the internet. And just an example, I was at we have a Unity community group that gets together and discusses things on Sunday mornings, and I can't remember exactly how I ended up getting to the Truth Unity website, where they have all kinds of books. But what on one of the pages, and I don't remember how I even got to one of the pages, but one of the pages, there was like a dissertation that was being presented as a course, and it was the Holy Spirit regeneration. And what it did was it was probably 30, 40 pages of describing how the Holy Spirit functions in level 2, how he does and how he reaches each other's. And it was through Charles. Of course, a lot of it was quotes from Charles Fillmore, but for me, it certainly was something that Spirit thought that I needed to read, which I did, because it clarified so much for me and put everything in a much clearer picture. So, it just pops up.
Oh. Hey, Jill, you know what we mean when we do the level 1, level 2 reference? Kind of like Ken Wapnick, level 1 is heaven, level 2 is here in the dream. Yeah. Kathleen, I just took that detour. Anything else?
No, I'm just, I'm just saying you don't always have to hear him saying something. It can be popping something that just appears, just for me anyways, it just appears. And then it's right on as to where I'm at and what I need to see and hear and do. And it can come in a song, it can come in a sermon, it can come in an advertisement that leads me to something else. you know, it can, many times it can come, a couple of times it was like driving by Goodwill and the voice will say, I think you need to go in. And when I would go in, there would be a book on the shelf that would be not in the shelf, a book that would be right on the shelf facing outward. And that's the book you're supposed to pick up today, Kathleen.
I have that same experience. Like, I remember it most recently, like I was trying to pick out a shirt to wear for this session. And I went and looked and I wasn't seeing something, just, and then I moved, it was in the long sleeve shirts. It had gotten mixed up. And I said, there it is, short sleeves, but it was mixed in and it just felt right. I don't know if you like this shirt or not, but it just felt like, okay, no question. Boom, that was it. It's like it not only helps you intermittently with miracles. God, please help my mom to get out of the hospital, and you'll see it. But if you let it, it'll take you every moment through your whole day.
Yeah.
Do I have any witnesses? Is that what you're talking about, Kathleen?
Oh yeah. And I give gratitude every, you know, when
Yeah,
for
I don't
everything.
have
I
to
give
do anything.
no, you know, I give gratitude when I get the parking space right next to the store because I have to get my walker out and walk, and I say thank you, God. When I see it,
Yes.
the first thing I do is I say thank you, God. Or sometimes when things happen and I don't know who they are, I just say, I don't know who did this. I'm sure it's from a higher power, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
And yet there are also times when I can't find the parking space right there. And yet I say, thank you for helping me exercise this bio machine
Yeah.
through a walk that I'll have to now take to get there. Uh, it's spooky. But at the bottom of all of it is gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
It takes complete care of me, not just the stuff I asked for, but stuff I didn't ask for. And but it was good. I don't know. I'm
And
speaking.
I think part of it is the realization is that you come to the realization that you're not doing this on your own. And each time you give gratitude and you say thank you, there's a little, the part of separation gets smaller and smaller.
And it attests to, oh my God, God is real. The voice is real. I know it through experience.
Yep.
I'm a witness. I didn't just read about it in a book. It just didn't work. It didn't just work for me in my prayer closet. But oh my God, it helps me all through the day.
Yep.
Isn't that what the Course teaches? That if we're willing, this thing will take over and run your friggin' life better than you ever did? Or is it just me, somebody else besides me and Kathleen? Are any of you almost there or ready to refute everything I'm saying? Let's talk.
Yeah, well, I do as Kathleen was saying. I just feel like I'm divinely guided many times, and my prayer is constantly, thank you, thank you.
It
And
says he'll make your crooked road straight. and something in the Bible, he'll remove the stones to keep you from bruising your feet as you take the
Mhm.
journey. It's exquisite. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
It makes you, oh my God, can you think of any? Wow.
It's amazing how it works if you allow it to work.
Like a miracle.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we have about exhausted our whole time here on an unintended path, but I would like just to indoctrinate Jill, if nothing else. Can we read a paragraph or two of the CE
Sure.
edition preface to A Course in Miracles? Jill, are you familiar with the CE version?
Is that Edgar Casey version?
That's correct, right, Dee?
No,
No.
it's
It's
not.
not the
It's
Casey version?
no,
We go through this all the time. Go
no.
ahead.
The Casey version is one of the earlier versions. This is the latest edition, and it stands for the complete and annotated edition of the Course in Miracles. So it put back all the left out material
All right, and help me. Is it Circle of Atonement?
through the Circle of Atonement.
Okay. Let's pull it up and just take a look at it, and we can talk about it from there. And I think this thing is 14 pages altogether, and we're currently starting page 8. So maybe I can make it a little bit bigger here. Can you see it okay?
Yes.
Yes.
And so, Jill, what we do is we assign readers. Like Dee will be reader 1, and Joan is 2, and Jill is 3, and Kathleen is 4. And we won't have a chance to read too much, but what we do is read and discuss and talk. ACIM Talks. And I think it's a chance for experienced course students to kind of blend and fold in and come in with some even deeper fundamentals of all of the content in A Course in Miracles. So people here have done the content piece, and now we're kind of seeing what we can do with those interpretations. So, Dee, if you would get started.
Yeah, and this is the preface to this edition, just like there's a preface in the FIP edition to before the start of the text itself.
Yes.
The real world is ultimately an illusion, yet it is a pristine reflection of reality. And so, when we have fully entered the real world, we are just a step away from heaven. Our love and forgiveness have taught us that we are not the guilty ego we had believed ourselves to be. Did we really think we had the power to change the purity God gave us? We lay aside the arrogance which says that we are sinners, guilty, and afraid, ashamed of what we are, and lift our hearts in true humility instead to Him who has created us immaculate, like to Himself, in power and in love. Our own efforts are now done. All barriers to the awareness of our true identity are past. We are finally ready to be in our Father's love again. Now God Himself leans down to us and takes us in His arms and sweeps away the cobwebs of our sleep. Now He lifts us back into our waking state of oneness with Him. Now at last we can say to him, in the words of the closing line of the text, and we are home where you would have us be.
Thank you.
And that was the final paragraph of the preface, written by Robert Perry from the Circle of Atonement.
So the issue of authorship, is that part of the preface?
No,
Okay. So essentially, we're done?
yes.
Oh, so okay. Huh. Well, that means we're done with this, so we'll have to figure out what to do next time.
Mm-hmm.
But what are your thoughts about the real world is ultimately an illusion?
I like this last paragraph as a summary of where the course is bringing us to that realization.
But isn't it sound a little paradoxical that the real world, they don't seem to go together? What's meant here? The real world is ultimately an illusion, yet it is a prime reflection of reality.
Well, the course teaches us that we really can't. True perception, which is this pristine reflection of reality, is just a reflection of heaven, of oneness. And we actually, that's the closest we could come to it in this
In this
realm.
earth plane.
Yeah, someone else say something?
I was just going to say it's the closest we could come to it in this earth plane. Because once we cross over into the oneness, it's gone, this part of it is gone. It no longer exists.
Yeah, perception falls away, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So, as the FIP version says, the the miracles, I'm sorry, the point is to purify, bring our perception as high as we can bring it in level 2.
Yeah.
And it's the
As
next
a
sentence says we do
precursor
that.
Go ahead, dear.
And the next sentence says we do that through love and forgiveness.
And so that brings our perception to the highest, purest level in preparation for God's final step. So this highest perception is not knowledge, but it's so close to knowledge that God can take the final step without attacking you. Instead of hitting you on the shoulder saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, the most loving approach would be to never have you wake up, but rather to simply transition from perception, which was so purified that it could so easily blend back to knowledge. There was no attack, no anxiety, no fear. You already believed everything that was true in your perception. Do you see it such a natural next step from there? Comments about that?
I used to say, well, when I get there, and it's no longer when I get there, it's when I am ready to receive.
Because you never left. This is all reverse engineering, okay?
Right. Right,
It's undoing.
right,
That's why you don't have to do anything.
right.
That's why a sense of leisure is essential in this process. It is a letting go, it is a trusting, but it's not blind trust. It's the trust in that thing that everybody's written everything about.
Well, I think it comes to a point of knowing. It's a knowing trust. It's
On
not.
a
It's
practical basis, it's trusting that one that runs your heart and grows your fingernails.
mm-hmm.
It's not a blind trust, okay? It's one when you see the movement of the cosmos and how it's been working so smoothly. This is what you are putting your trust in, right? It's not a blind trust. It's an
I think-
awaken. Go ahead, Dee.
I think it's beyond trust at that point when all the barriers up to the awareness of my true identity are passed, which is a sentence in there.
I
It's a
agree.
knowing. It's a knowing. There's
Yeah,
no more.
yeah.
We don't need
Right.
to. We know it for ourselves.
Right. Even in perception,
Mhm.
you're there.
Right.
Mhm.
So the trusting was what it took for you to choose to allow it to happen. Remember, free will is the hallmark of love. God Himself can't make you do anything you don't want to do. That's how much faith He had in you. But I can't oppress you even for your own good. I'm one thing. I'm not one thing except when it comes to this or that or the other. You see, I'm getting too long winded enough. It's 8 o'clock. How are we doing?
Great.
Yeah, went off on a tangent there. By the way, I'm doing the Practical Spirituality 101 workshop, August 17th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. And I'm kind of still working on it. So I was practicing with you. Thank you so much earlier on. It's all about our Be Nice campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to create a movement to get people to be nice on a large scale. So
Lovely.
thank you for helping me test out. I got work to do, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you for joining us, Jill.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure. Keep coming back. And any final comments?
No, it was all good.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, let me stop sharing so we can call it quits for tonight. Namaste, ladies.
Mhm.
Thank you so
Namaste.
much. See you
Thank
next
you,
time.
Jim.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you. Thank
everyone.
you.